Cole Carter sat behind his sleek mahogany desk, the city lights of New York glinting through the floor-to-ceiling windows. His reflection stared back at him, eyes cold as ice. At exactly 10 minutes past 7, his phone buzzed. He picked it up, unlocked with a swipe, and dialed. Morgan Law Group, this is James speaking. James, it's Carter, Cole said, his voice even. We need to finalize my divorce. Book the date for next Friday. No excuses. There was a pause. Right away, Mr. Carter. Should I inform Ms. Langford's counsel? Do whatever's necessary. I want this over with. He ended the call before James could respond. His calm facade never cracked. Around him, the office was silent, save for the hum of the air conditioning. He ran a hand through his hair, annoyance flickering across his features. Across town, Maya Langford was sipping chamomile tea at a rooftop cafe in Tribeca. She tapped her phone against the table, scrolling through images of herself wearing an elegant black velvet gown from an impromptu photo shoot. The latest shot had trended under #BlackVelvetMystery, though she hadn't searched for it. She smiled faintly, taking another sip as a photographer's flash went off nearby. She wondered briefly why her ex-husband's name never appeared in the trending comments. Back in his penthouse office, Cole tapped his thumb against the envelope containing his marriage certificate. It sat atop a stack of investor filings, transaction records, and the odd letter of apology from a board member. He smirked. Everything he owned was safe, except perhaps his pride. His phone buzzed again. A text message appeared. You won't see this coming. He frowned. Who had sent it? His contacts showed no unknown numbers. He unlocked his phone to reply, but paused. The cursor blinked. He deleted the draft. Instead, he forwarded the message to his secretary, with no comment. Miss Porter, he called without turning. Locate any incoming messages from Miss Langford's number in the last 12 hours. Incoming messages? His assistant asked, her heels clicking as she hurried to his side. Yes. I like to know what she's planning. She nodded and left. Cole returned to the window, studying the cityscape. He pictured Maya in the gown, descending the steps of their former townhouse last year, tears in her eyes as she left him. She had stood there in black velvet then, too. A low vibration on the desk broke the memory. His tablet lit up with unanswered emails. One subject read, Urgent, board meeting request. He ignored it. Tonight was for personal matters. He exhaled, steeling himself. The next time he faced Maya, it wouldn't be with pity or remorse. It would be with finality. He pressed his phone against his ear. James, confirm the filing. And let me know the moment Ms. Langford is served. He tapped his foot. As he waited, a knock sounded at the door. His guard, Dante, entered silently. Sir, your event tonight. Later, Cole interrupted, eyes narrowing. First this. Dante inclined his head. Of course. Cole ended the call. He stared at his reflection again. Under that calm surface, something had shifted. A new message arrived. He opened it. A single line. Black velvet holds many secrets. He blinked. Then his heart raced. He stood motionless as the word sank in. The phrase echoed in his mind, triggering a memory he couldn't place. He had underestimated her. Night was far from over, and Maya's next move would change everything. And he was terrified. Truly. Maya Langford leaned on the rooftop cafe railing, savoring her chamomile tea as city lights twinkled below her. A lone photographer hovered nearby, camera lens trained on her silent silhouette against the warm evening glow. She lifted a brow when the flash surprised her, curiosity stirring beneath her poised expression. In that moment, she felt chosen by fate rather than hunted by regret. After leaving her lavish townhouse months earlier, she had vowed never to be reduced to a rumor again. Yet tonight, an unexpected viral sensation was brewing around her unplanned appearance in black velvet. She recalled Dante's crisp salute and the hush that fell over the courthouse steps. That memory still thrilled her more than any applause she had ever known. The photographer approached, offering a tentative nod before suggesting a framing change. Maya complied, shifting her stance so the fairy lights strung above cast playful shadows across her gown. A gentle breeze teased loose strands of her hair, carrying the scent of jasmine blossoms. She closed her eyes for a heartbeat, breathing in the night's possibilities, then opened them to meet his steady gaze with a subtle, confident smile. He pressed the shutter once, capturing her quiet strength like a bolt of lightning. "Thank you," she said softly, gliding toward an empty wrought iron table set for two. No one was waiting, but she welcomed the phantom company. A waiter placed a single red rose in a slender vase before her without a word. She watched the flower dance in the breeze, considering how beauty and power intertwined. Her phone buzzed insistently in her purse. A notification popped up. Thousands were sharing and tagging hashtag Black Velvet Mystery across platforms. Maya stared at the screen, breath catching at the volume of comments flooding in. Many praised the enigmatic woman in the velvet gown, speculating about her identity and story. None suspected the hidden reality behind her composed facade and unstoppable momentum. She slipped the phone back into her purse with practiced dignity and lifted her chin. Her heart raced at the drama she had unwittingly ignited online. Every trend served as a silent whisper calling her forward into a destiny she had barely glimpsed. She stood, smoothing the fabric of her gown as if preparing for an unannounced premiere. With measured steps, Maya descended the cafe stairs toward the street below. Passers-by glanced at her with curious smiles, capturing quick clips on their phones. She walked past a luxury sedan idling curbside, unaware that one of the tinted windows carried a familiar reflection. Somewhere inside, Cole Carter watched his ex-wife's viral moment unfold in real time on a private feed. He had intended this to be the end of their story, her disappearance from his life and his mind. But instead her reappearance had set the world ablaze. The irony was intoxicating. He had tried to serve her papers, yet she now dictated global headlines. Maya felt the weight of every gaze and every pixel shared across millions of screens. It was exhilarating. As she reached the sidewalk, Maya allowed herself a brief smile of triumph. The night air felt electric, charged with possibility and poised for upheaval. She had been forgotten, but only until she chose to be remembered. The hashtag Black Velvet Mystery trend surges across social media platforms, yet no one suspects she is the enigmatic figure behind the posts. Cole Carter parked his matte black sedan at the curb just before dawn, heart pounding with obsessive precision. Bianca's arm rested on his as they stepped toward the grand marble steps of the courthouse, cameras flashing like a strobe storm. Reporters jostled for position, shouting questions he refused to answer. Bianca gripped his hand, nerves betraying her practiced smile. He could almost feel Maya's absence as a physical ache, an unfinished note tugging at his composure. Bianca leaned in and whispered, "Are you sure we should be here so early?" Cole forced a curt nod and adjusted his tie. In his mind, nothing could derail their mission today. Inside the lobby, the marble floors gleamed under towering glass skylights. Bianca paused at a marble column, smoothing the skirt of her ivory silk dress. "She won't show," she murmured. "She's too ashamed to face us." Cole's jaw tightened. Shame and Maya had never coexisted. The clerk called their case number. Cole walked forward, shoulders squared. Cameras trailed. Bianca followed, glancing over her shoulder for any sign of their estranged ex-wife. But the gallery remained empty. The judge's bench stood distant and imposing, a black-robed silhouette under cold light. Cole laid the thick white envelope on the lectern. Inside, divorce petition, asset stipulations, and the deed to their shared townhouse. He exhaled with satisfaction. Bianca offered a triumphant smile, only to freeze at his side. A hush fell as the doors behind them swung open. Maya Langford entered, clad in her signature black velvet gown. Every camera lens pivoted instantly, like a flock of birds in coordinated flight. Cole's pulse spiked, Bianca's face drained of color. Maya's heels clicked on marble, echoing like thunder under a crystal chandelier. Dante stood beside her, hand raised in a military salute. The crowd parted silently, a living aisle leading to her. Bianca whispered something inaudible, eyes wide with horror. Cole felt sweat prick his temples. This was not the fearful, broken woman he had expected. Maya paused at the bottom step, gaze level with his. No pleading, no apology, Just unwavering stillness. Her lips curved in a faint smile, knowing powerful. Bianca's knees buckled. She clutched Cole's arm for support. The judge rose from behind the bench, momentarily stunned before clearing his throat. "Ms. Langford," he said, voice steady. "You're present." Maya inclined her head. Cameras roared again, capturing every detail. Cole swallowed hard, suddenly aware that this moment would define their story forever. Bianca retreated toward the hallway, mascara streaking her cheeks. Maya took a single step forward, placing her hand on the lectern beside his envelope. "Good morning," she said, voice soft but resonant. Cole felt it vibrate across the silent courtroom like a challenge. His carefully constructed plan had fractured in the space of her entrance. As the clerk attempted to proceed, Maya lifted a manicured finger. "Before we begin," she said, "we have one thing to clarify." Cole's pulse thundered. He had no idea what revelation lay inside her dark velvet sleeves, only that his suit felt suddenly too light. The world outside paused at the courthouse doors, waiting for the next twist. Maya stepped fully into the courtroom light, the rich velvet of her gown absorbing every gaze. Each fold of fabric seemed to command attention, like a sovereign's banner unfurled at dawn. Cole watched, mesmerized and unnerved, as she approached the lectern with silent authority. Bianca hovered at the perimeter, trembling like a startled fawn. She placed both hands on the lectern surface, fingers splayed to reveal slender silver rings glinting under the overhead lights. Her voice was steady, each word pronounced with deliberate calm. "I understand why we're here," she began, eyes locking onto Cole's. "But before we finalize our separation, there's context you and the public deserve." A murmur rippled through the gallery. Bianca gasped, pressing a hand to her lips. The judge leaned forward, curiosity replacing decorum. Maya continued, "This gown you see was more than a fashion statement. It represents the final piece of evidence I withheld." She lifted a corner of the hem, revealing a discreet zipper at her waist. The crowd leaned in collectively, like heat-seeking missiles. With a single pull, Maya exposed a hidden pocket, stitched into the lining. She extracted a slim flash drive emblazoned with her initials. Gasps rose from the bench to the back rows. Bianca's face turned as pale as the marble walls. Cole's breath caught. His carefully curated world felt like fractured glass underfoot. Maya held the drive aloft. "This contains every transaction, every email, and every recorded confession that proves your claims," she said, addressing Cole directly. "You wanted clean divisions. Here, we see the truth none of us anticipated." She placed the drive on the lectern before him. Cole's fingers trembled as he reached for it. Dante stepped forward, positioning himself protectively at Maya's side. The judge rapped his gavel, calling for order. Reporters outside clamored for updates, their cameras broadcasting live. Within the courtroom, Bianca slumped against a column, tears streaking her cheeks. Maya allowed herself a small, knowing smile. This moment was hers, unequivocally and irrevocably. She glanced at the judge. "May we proceed?" The judge nodded, eyes shining with respect and unexpected friendship. Outside the courtroom windows, news tickers began scrolling. "Black velvet gown conceals explosive evidence." The hashtag trended before her feet even touched the steps. Maya closed her eyes briefly, inhaling the quiet triumph. As she stepped back, the flash drive in Cole's hand felt like a detonator. She had come to serve papers, but she was departing as the orchestrator of his unmaking. Dante's salute had felt like a shockwave when Maya descended from the SUV at the courthouse steps. Now, standing behind her in the courtroom, that same salute resonated with unwavering loyalty. Maya turned, acknowledging him with a brief nod as cameras captured every detail. Bianca flinched at the sight, as though Dante's presence physically repelled her fear. Cole swallowed thickly, tightening his grip on the flash drive. He realized Dante represented everything he had taken for granted: respect, honor, and unspoken allegiance. He watched the guard's eyes, steadfast, unblinking, devoted. How many times had Maya stood alone in her darkest moments, only to find Dante's quiet support? Bianca attempted to approach Maya, but froze when Dante stepped in her path. His posture was rigid, protective, unyielding. "Step back," Dante said, voice low but unmistakable. Bianca's shoulders sagged, tears betraying her bravado. Maya turned toward Cole, her gaze level and composed. "You requested finality," she said. "Yet finality requires truth." She gestured toward the flash drive on the lectern. "Explore every file. Share every word. Let the world judge." Cole exhaled, voice rough. "You're ruining me," he accused. Maya's lips curved into a serene smile. "I'm revealing what already exists," she replied. "I merely refuse to be forgotten." Outside, social media notifications chimed in synchrony. Reporters surged forward, pressing microphones against Dante's broad frame. He did not flinch. "She speaks for herself," he declared, voice firm. "Her integrity stands unshaken." Maya placed a hand on Dante's shoulder, gratitude shining in her eyes. She faced the judge. "Your Honor, we may now continue." The judge nodded gravely, respect evident in every line of his face. Cole sank into his chair, surrounded by the fragments of his former life. He realized this was more than a divorce. This was a reckoning of every choice he had made. Bianca wept openly, her ivory gown soiled by betrayal and scandal. Maya's entrance, her hidden evidence, and Dante's unwavering salute had altered their fates irrevocably. The courtroom buzzed with newfound tension as the judge prepared to review the contents of the flash drive. Maya stepped aside, letting the truth take center stage. She watched Dante lower his hand, eyes softening with pride. In that shared moment, she felt the weight of her transformation and the promise of a future forged on her own terms. The courthouse lobby fell eerily silent as surveillance footage filled the projector screen. Bianca's bribery scheme unfolded in crisp definition. Handshakes with regulators, discreet envelope exchanges, and hushed conversations that confirmed her corruption. Cole sat rigid, unable to look away. His carefully crafted world was unraveling before him. He attempted to speak, but found his throat constricted. His lawyer patted his back, mouthing assurances, but even those echoed hollowly. Bianca covered her mouth, eyes wide, powerless to deny what the footage revealed. The judge leaned forward, eyebrows lifted in astonishment. Maya watched impassively from the sidelines, arms folded beneath her velvet sleeves. Dante remained vigilant, scanning the room for any sign of interference. Maya's calm presence contrasted sharply with Cole's visible distress. She had planned nothing more than to reveal the truth, yet the fallout was far more spectacular than she had ever imagined. Cole's gaze flicked to the judge. "Your Honor," he rasped, voice cracking. This was unexpected. The judge met his eyes without judgment. "Truth often arrives unannounced," she replied. "We must let it speak for itself." In the hush, cameras clicked. Reporters captured every tremor of emotion on Cole's face. He swallowed, voice steadier now. I withdraw my petition," he announced, surprising everyone. Bianca gasped, tears spilling freely. The judge paused mid-ruling, shocked by his reversal. Maya's lips curved in a knowing smile. Cole turned toward her, confusion and regret mingling in his eyes. "Why?" he asked, voice raw. Maya stepped forward, her gown brushing marble floors like a silent verdict. "Because I no longer wish to divide what was never properly yours," she said. Cole opened his mouth, then closed it again. Words failed him. He realized his attempts to control her had only underscored his own weaknesses. Bianca stumbled away, her world collapsing in ruin. The judge cleared her throat, restoring order. "Then let us proceed under these new circumstances," she announced. Reporters outside erupted in chatter at the unexpected twist. Maya inclined her head politely, but made no move toward reconciliation. Cole remained frozen, speechless for the first time in his life. He had come to silence Maya, yet she had rendered him mute. In that echoing courtroom, her power was undeniable. Outside, the rumor mill churned. Cole Carter silenced by velvet-clad ex-wife. Bianca's empire crumbled, and Maya Langford stood at the center of it all, unwavering. Proof that sometimes the most potent weapon is the one that leaves your adversary speechless. Cole Carter's pulse thrummed in his temples as he approached the lectern, the thick white envelope lying there. Bianca stood behind him, her disbelief mascara streaks glistening under the courtroom's harsh lights. The judge watched silently, curiosity flickering in her eyes. Murmurs rippled softly through the benches. The atmosphere crackled with anticipation and awe. Maya Langford remained statuesque at the back of the courtroom, her black velvet gown absorbing every intrigued gaze. Dante's unwavering stance beside her resembled a sentinel guarding a queen. Maya's lips curved in a faint smile as she observed the tension radiating from Cole's rigid shoulders. Cole swallowed, using a steadying breath to refocus. He lifted the envelope gently, his fingers grazing the surface. The weight of what lay within seemed to pulse against his palm. An envelope in a divorce case wasn't unusual, but this one carried Maya's final gambit, a curated dossier of secrets she had unearthed. He slit the top flap with cautious hesitation. Bianca's breath hitched beside him, as though the slightest movement could rupture her fragile composure. The judge inclined her head, silently granting Cole permission to unveil its contents. Inside, Cole found a stack of high-resolution photographs, each carefully labeled with dates and locations. His company's clandestine board meeting in Geneva, Bianca's rendezvous with a rival investor, and even a covert surveillance image capturing his own clandestine discussions with an offshore account manager. Beneath the photographs lay printed email chains, time-stamped to the second, evidence of illicit financial transfers Bianca had executed on his behalf to mask her betrayal. He flipped a page. A series of documents, apparently signed by Bianca under an alias, outlined fraudulent filings with regulatory agencies. Every piece looked corroborated with public records and internal memos. His jaw clenched as he realized the enormity of his mistake. His pride had blinded him to her machinations, and now that darkness was illuminated in stark black and white. At the back, Maya's eyes glinted like polished onyx. She had orchestrated this reveal with surgical precision. Dante's hand rested near Maya's elbow, ready to guide or protect. Cole's grip tightened on the envelope as the courtroom murmured, the hush slicing through the room, like broken glass. He glanced at Bianca, whose face had gone ashen. Her lips trembled, unable to form a defense. Reporters' cameras flashed through the windows, capturing every micro-expression. Bianca pressed a hand to her heart, her ivory silk gown now a stark contrast to her distress. Cole attempted to speak, but words lodged in his throat. The judge acknowledged the gravity of the revelation, pausing mid-ruling. "Mr. Carter," the judge said, voice measured, "is this what you wish to present as truth in this proceeding?" Cole exhaled slowly, realizing that to deny the contents would be to lie under oath. His mind raced. If he called this fabrication, Maya could expose him next. A cold clarity settled in his chest. He nodded once, resolute. "Yes, Your Honor," he rasped. His voice echoed like a confession. Maya stepped forward into the faint beam of light, filtering through the tall windows. "May I clarify one detail?" she asked softly. Her tone carried an undercurrent of steel. The room held its collective breath. Cole's gaze met Maya's unwavering eyes that had never wavered in their resolve. He realized that this envelope was more than evidence. It was the keystone of her emancipation from his control. He turned back to the judge as Maya's foot tapped gently on the marble floor. The envelope trembled slightly in his hand. Cliffhanger. One page reads, "Do you really want the public to know this?" Maya's mind drifted back to that rooftop dinner, the evening of her 32nd birthday, when betrayal first whispered its venom. The city skyline gleamed like a field of stars beneath the rose-gold sunset. She had imagined a surprise celebration orchestrated by Cole, champagne, gourmet cuisine, candles flickering in the breeze. Instead, she encountered Bianca, draped in ivory, her painted smile gleaming like a blade. The party had been held at Levant's penthouse, a venue reserved for society's elite. Maya arrived in a sleek black gown, expecting hushed applause and affection. Instead, the maitre d' had bowed curtly and led her along a gleaming corridor toward a narrow kitchen door. Through a crack in the frosted glass, she had glimpsed Parmesan-dusted pasta and a lone candlelit table. Then Bianca stepping into view, adjusting a pale gown to appear immaculate. "Happy birthday, Maya," Bianca had purred, voice syrupy. She had turned, the lights revealing a second chair occupied by someone else, someone Maya recognized by the crisp tailoring and the tilt of a familiar tie. Cole's face had been distant, his eyes avoiding hers. The hush that fell over the rooftop felt oppressive, like the calm before a storm. Maya had waited at the threshold, her hands clenched at her sides. She had seen the truth in its first glimmer. The way Cole's hand had lingered on Bianca's waist, how their laughter had bounced off the chandelier's crystals. The lanterns beyond had tossed shadows across the floor, echoing her fracturing heart. Without a word, Maya had backed away, letting the door swing closed behind her. She had leaned against the cold glass, breathing in the scent of lemon oil and burnt rosemary. Her birthday cake had sat unlit on a console nearby, candles vainly waiting to be ignited. She thought of candles being blown out by sobs rather than joy. Cole had followed her, his voice low and strained. "Maya, wait." She had pressed a finger to her lips. Bianca had approached, concern feigned across her features. "I'm sorry, Maya," she had said, but her eyes glittered with triumph. Maya had allowed herself a small nod before turning her back on them both. She remembered stepping into the service stairwell, leaving the rooftop's hushed scandal behind. The cool tiles had pressed against her bare feet after her heels slipped off. She had let gravity carry her down flights until the faint hum of a neon exit sign lit her path. There she paused, straightened her gown, and regarded her reflection in the stainless steel panels. Maya's heartbeat had slowed as she composed herself. She had retrieved her purse and called for a driver. When he arrived moments later, Maya had surrendered her company phone, Cole's gift, to the valet with a single instruction: "Take Mr. Carter home." Her voice had been calm, measured, a sharp contrast to the tumult within. The driver had nodded, eyes wide, slipping behind the wheel of the waiting sedan. Maya watched through the tinted windows as the two figures emerged, Cole supporting Bianca as though offering comfort. The car had pulled away, trailer lights fading into the night. She had remained planted at the curb, the city's pulse thumping in her ears. A lone street lamp had illuminated her black gown, transforming her shadow into a silhouette of unwavering dignity. In that moment, Maya had discovered the strength that would define her rebirth. She had stood in the quiet, the broken promise of celebration fueling her resolve. Above, the skyline had shone with indifferent beauty, unaware of the life-altering twist that unfolded at its feet. Maya stood behind the curtains, silent, watching, smiling. The night air felt cool against Maya's cheeks as she stood in the foyer of their home, the chandelier above casting prisms across the floor. Cole Carter's bags lay at her feet, leather suitcases that had once carried the promise of a shared future. Maya's hands remained folded before her, silent. The foyer, once a symbol of their shared dreams, now felt hollow, each echo reminding her of broken promises. Cole's voice as he retrieved the first bag. She met his gaze with unwavering calm, just an inscrutable composure that seemed to absorb every bit of his regret. He knelt to unzip the second suitcase. Bianca's betrayal had shattered him, but Maya's silence was a second, sharper blow. Maya had summoned the driver, her instructions simple: "Take Mr. Carter to my apartment." The salt lamp's glow danced across family photos she had moved to storage, images of happier times frozen in time and memory. Cole paused, bag halfway off the floor. He looked at Maya's face, drawn in the soft glow of a single salt lamp on the console. Warm light flickered across her features, casting shadows that accentuated her strength. She had once been the woman who warmed his world. Now she was the architect of its quiet collapse. "Maya," he whispered, voice barely audible. "Please, can we talk about this?" His words hung in the air, fragile and fleeting. Maya's posture remained serene, as though she had already decided every outcome. She nodded once, lightly. "The driver will take you," she said evenly. "I only ask that you collect your things and leave quietly." Her tone carried only finality. Cole swallowed hard. He glanced toward the foyer's mirrored wall and caught sight of his own reflection, haggard, haunted, unmoored. For a moment, he remembered the nights they shared laughter beneath this very chandelier, the promises whispered in candlelight. Now, those memories felt distant, like shards of a life he had lost the moment she chose silence over confrontation. He slid his hands beneath the handles of his luggage and lifted. The weight felt heavier than lead. Bianca's betrayal had hurt, but Maya's restraint cut deeper. The driver appeared at the threshold, ready to escort him away from everything he had built. Cole paused at Maya's side. "Why?" he asked. "Why are you calm?" He searched her eyes for a flicker of emotion. Nothing shifted. She had mastered serenity. Maya inhaled slowly, eyes focused on a point just beyond his shoulder. "I fought once," she said softly, "and in fighting, I lost my voice." Her quiet confession surprised him. "Tonight, I choose to speak with action rather than words." She stepped aside as Cole swung open the door. The driver offered a curt nod. Cole turned back one last time. I'm sorry," he whispered. Guilt reverberated through each syllable. Maya didn't respond. She watched as he settled into the backseat of the car, the door closing between them like a judge's gavel. The headlights traced his silhouette against the foyer before the vehicle slid away, tires whispering along the driveway. Inside, Maya stood in the quiet, her reflection multiplied in the foyer mirrors. Silence settled around her like a cloak. Pain flickered in her chest, but she held it in place, with a steady breath. She had let him leave, transformed her heartbreak into the catalyst for her own resurgence. Outside, the engine's hum dissolved into the city's nocturnal symphony. Maya's exhale merged with the night. She pressed a finger to her lips, honoring the quiet power of her choice. Bianca stumbled down the corridor outside the courtroom, heart hammering as she pressed herself against the cold marble wall. Her ivory silk gown felt like a shroud. Her pulse pounded against her ribs with relentless, urgent insistence. Reports of Maya's courtroom spectacle had reached every corner of the building, and Bianca's mind buzzed with panic. She fumbled for her phone, digits trembling as she scrolled through contacts. She found the number marked Control. Her voice cracked as she tapped call. "It's Bianca," she hissed into the receiver. "You said she was finished. She wasn't supposed to come." Her words raced ahead of her thoughts, fueled by desperation. "We had it arranged. The judge, everything. How did she know? How did she pull this off?" On the other end, silence. Bianca's pulse throbbed. "Hello," she snapped, anxiety. "You need to fix this. Now." She paced, every step echoing down the marble hall. Bianca pressed the phone tighter to her ear, scanning the corridor for sympathetic eyes. But the walls offered nothing but stoic indifference. The echo of her high heels sounded like a countdown. She envisioned cameras catching her every crumble, broadcasting the unraveling of her social ascension in real time. At last, a voice whispered through the speaker. "We've got a problem." The admission sent Bianca's blood turning to ice. "What do you mean, problem?" she demanded. "I want her gone. She can't stay in the game." A low chuckle responded. "She's not the one with the power now." The words hung in the air like a guillotine's blade. Bianca's breath caught. "You promised me control," she cried. "You promised." But the voice cut her off sharply. "Promise is nothing without consequence. We recorded everything." Bianca felt her stomach drop as reality set in. The conversation rattled every pillar of her confidence. She slammed her phone shut, pressing it against her ear as if to silence the taunting echo. Her vision tunneled. She had played every card she knew, bribes, favors, insider influence. But Maya had outmaneuvered her at every turn. Now even her underground network turned traitor. Bianca backed into a paneled alcove, sliding to the floor as her gown pulled around her. She pressed trembling fingers to her temples, willing the world to stop spinning. How had she underestimated Maya? How had the woman she discarded become the architect of her downfall? A soft step approached. Bianca looked up to see Dante's silhouette emerge from the shadows. His eyes were unreadable. He offered no shield, no accusation, only the silent question of her fate. Bianca scrambled to her feet, straightening her gown with wounded dignity. "Stay away," she whispered, voice hoarse. Yet Dante's presence felt like a question unspoken. "Did you really think you controlled the narrative?" Bianca turned and fled deeper into the corridor, phone clutched to her chest. She needed answers, an exit strategy, anything to regain the momentum she had lost. But every door she passed was closed. Every ear she sought avoided her gaze. Behind her, the courthouse buzzed with news teams and whispers of scandal. The hashtag Black Velvet Empire had already begun trending. Bianca's panic was a public spectacle, an unedited live broadcast of a woman losing everything. She paused beneath an arched doorway, chest heaving. There, etched into the stone, was a plaque commemorating the courtroom centennial. Bianca pressed her palm against the cold surface, drawing strength from its unyielding solidity. She raised her phone again, scrolled through her contacts, and reconsidered whose number she dared call next. The line between ally and adversary had blurred beyond recognition. Judge Delaney's gavel hovered above the mahogany bench as time itself seemed to pause. Her silver hair caught the light from the high windows, and she lowered the instrument but kept her hand raised, frozen mid-motion. Silence cascaded through the courtroom, heavier than any ruling. Murmurs fluttered as every pair of eyes darted between Maya and the judge. No one moved. The atmosphere crackled with anticipation. Judge Delaney had presided over hundreds of cases, but few had ever stirred her so deeply. The weight of judicial decorum clashed with a hidden personal bond, making this moment rare and profoundly human. A collision of past charity work and present courtroom drama that blurred the lines between verdict and compassion. Across the polished concrete floor, Maya Langford sat poised with her back straight, eyes calm yet alert. The judge's gaze softened as she recognized the woman shrouded in black velvet. A ripple of tension passed through the spectators. They sensed an unspoken connection, solidifying between these two figures. She drew a slow breath, her posture unflinching, betraying no hint of surprise. In her eyes lay the quiet power of someone who had rehearsed this moment. Cole Carter, standing before the bench clutching the flash drive, felt every beat of his heart echo in his ears. A bead of sweat trailed down Cole's temple as he considered the implications. Every strategy he had conceived suddenly felt inadequate against this living testament of Maya's resourcefulness. He stole a glance at Dante, who remained at the back. Bianca's face paled as shards of her confidence shattered in real time. She gripped the armrest, nails grazing the plush velvet as panic constricted her chest. At last, Judge Delaney spoke, voice clear. "Ms. Langford," she said, pausing on the syllable as if tasting its resonance. Maya rose, each motion deliberate. The courtroom lights gleamed off her gown, transforming the moment into a stage. The judge lifted her robes and descended from the bench in quiet dignity. She extended her hand, and Maya stepped forward. Their hands met in a clasp that defied courtesy. It spoke of unspoken debts, shared history, and a quiet solidarity forged long ago. Reporters scribbled in notebooks, cameras whirring, capturing the extraordinary turn of events. Cole watched with a mixture of awe and dread. What could Maya's rapport with the judge mean for his fate? Judge Delaney returned to her seat, pressing a wooden nameplate forward before her. It read Maya Langford. Behind her, the gavel lay dormant, emblematic of a trial suspended between past and future. "Please approach," the judge invited. Maya joined Cole at the lectern, her silhouette framed by the towering shelves of legal tomes. Dante stood sentinel behind them, ready to shield or support as circumstance demanded. Maya cleared her throat, voice composed. "Your Honor," she began, "our history predates this courtroom." She reached into the folds of her gown and withdrew a photograph, its edges worn from years of handling. She held it up. The image depicted a younger Maya and Judge Delaney, side by side at a neighborhood outreach event, children playing in the background, banners celebrating community service. The judge's expression in the photo was warm, her arm casually draped over Maya's shoulder. A collective intake of breath echoed through the courtroom. Judge Delaney's eyes glistened with recognition and something deeper, perhaps regret or camaraderie. Maya's words fell like gentle rain. Evidence shows one version of truth, but context reveals the full story. Judge Delaney leaned forward, fingertips touching the photograph's edge on the lectern. Her voice softened. "Maya Langford? We meet again." The courtroom had fallen into a tense hush. A brief recess was called, and spectators spilled into the marbled corridors, murmuring in clusters. Maya Langford remained seated, hands folded in her lap, her back perfectly straight, in the witness chair. Dante stood guard beside her, as if carved from ebony stone, unmoving, unblinking. Moments later, a discreet signal passed between Maya and her counsel, Elias Graves. He rose and led her to a quiet alcove, just outside the judge's chambers. The corridor was lined with framed portraits of past justices, their stern expressions softened by time. Maya followed Elias's long, confident stride, her velvet gown whispering against the polished marble floor. "Take a look," Elias murmured as they stepped behind a bronze-columned nook. He extended a small flash drive, its metallic surface catching the overhead light. "This is your final ace." Maya's dark eyes narrowed with faint curiosity. "What is it?" she asked, voice low but unwavering. "A recording of Bianca's panic call to control," he explained. "It's proof she conspired to manipulate the courthouse feed, bribes, threats, everything we need to finish this." He paused, watching her reaction. "When you play this, no one will remember his name. Only yours." She slipped the drive into the hidden pocket of her gown, heart pounding with quiet excitement. "Perfect," she said, cupping his arm. "Thank you, Elias." He inclined his head, his face inscrutable beneath the brim of his fedora. "Remember, timing is everything." Maya stepped back into the hallway, glancing once at the heavy oak door of Judge Delaney's chambers. Through the narrow window, she glimpsed the judge whispering with Cole's legal team. The tension had shifted palpably in Maya's favor, like a tide reversing its course. As the door to the courtroom reopened, Maya smoothed her gown and re-entered, her posture regal. Each step toward the lectern reverberated with purpose. The gallery fell silent once more. Cameras clicked. This was the moment they would replay for days. Judge Delaney raised an eyebrow. "Ms. Langford." Maya inclined her head. "Your Honor, I have further evidence." She held her chin high, as though commanding the world to watch. She lifted a manicured fingertip. "May I proceed?" The judge's eyes gleamed with professional curiosity, and perhaps something more personal. "Proceed," she said. Maya pressed a button on a small remote that Elias had provided. The projector flickered to life behind her. A hushed gasp rippled through the courtroom as the first wave of sound filled the air. Dante stood unmoving in the back, but Maya felt the surge of power in that moment. The unity of her plan, her lawyer's loyalty, and the immutable truth ready to be revealed. The courtroom lights dimmed as the projector's glow illuminated Maya's silhouette. A single speaker crackled to life. Bianca's voice, strained with panic, spilled into the hush. "I told you she wasn't supposed to show," Bianca hissed urgently. "You promised me control. Fix it now, or everything you love is gone." Gasps echoed through the gallery. Bianca, seated with Cole and her legal team, paled to porcelain. Hannah, her publicist, covered her mouth in horror. The slick veneer of Bianca's composure shattered in real time. Maya watched impassively. Dante's shadow loomed behind her like a silent oath. Every word in the recording cut deeper than any sword. Bianca's conspiratorial breathing, her frantic insistence, each nuance spoke volumes about her desperation. The tape continued. "Meet me at midnight. Bring the funds. Or they leaked the dossier on your little offshore account." Bianca's voice cracked on the last syllable. Cole's jaw clenched. His eyes darted to the judge's bench. Judge Delaney's expression shifted from surprise to solemn resolve. Witnesses shifted in their seats. Reporters scribbled furiously. The veneer of Bianca's empire peeled away, revealing the rot beneath. Suddenly, the recording stuttered, and a second voice emerged, Cole's own, calm yet steely. "You have 24 hours. Don't test me." A collective shudder rippled through the courtroom. Maya's lips curved in a faint, triumphant smile. Bianca's shoulders collapsed. She buried her face in her hands, murmuring, "No, no." Her ivory gown became a stark contrast to her ruin. Cole froze, caught between indignation and shame. Maya stepped forward, voice resonant. "That concludes the recording." She paused, letting the courtroom absorb the full weight of the revelation. "I trust this clarifies all remaining questions." Silence reigned. Then Judge Delaney cleared her throat, voice measured. "I believe it does." She tapped her gavel, but paused. "Miss Draco." She nodded at Bianca's counsel. "You may address the court if you can." Bianca looked up, tears glinting in her eyes. Words failed her. The courtroom's atmosphere brimmed with revelation and irony. The woman who had attempted to bury Maya's reputation lay exposed. Maya retrieved the flash drive and slid it into her clutch. Dante's steady gaze met hers, and she felt a surge of gratitude. The alliance she had forged in silence had delivered a blow from which Bianca could not recover. The gavel's echo died on the marble floors. Maya Langford tucked the flash drive into her purse and turned toward the courtroom doors. Whispers trailed behind her like a wake. Reporters raised microphones. Cameramen jockeyed for the best angle. The world was watching her every movement. She paused at the threshold, gentle golden light spilling through the tall windows. Raising her chin, Maya let the hush swell around her. She lifted a single finger, and her voice rang clear. "The truth always dresses in velvet." The press erupted into a cacophony of questions. "Ms. Langford, what's your next move? How do you respond to Mr. Carter's silence?" But Maya moved with calm assurance, gliding down the aisle as the courtroom emptied. Dante flanked her, a bulwark against chaos. Reporters reached out, and Maya acknowledged them with a brief nod, no more, no less. Each step felt choreographed, her black velvet gown rippling like water in slow motion. The hush she had cultivated crackled into a crescendo of camera flashes. Outside, the foyer teemed with onlookers. A sea of phones recorded her exit. She stepped onto the grand staircase, each footfall measured. At the bottom, a cluster of reporters surged forward. She halted, silence falling instantly. "I stand for transparency," she announced, gaze steady on the nearest camera lens. "Justice is not a performance, it's a promise fulfilled." Her words cut through the noise like a blade. Cameras zoomed in on her determined expression. Bianca's devastation unfolded behind her, a poignant counterpoint. Cole watched from a distant balcony, speechless, his carefully shielded reputation in tatters. As Maya reached the marble landing, she turned one last time. "Thank you," she said simply, and descended into the waiting arms of her driver. The lobby door swung open, and the afternoon sun bathed her in warmth. A hush fell over the crowd as she slipped into the waiting SUV. The door closed softly behind her. Inside, Dante and Elias joined her. Maya exhaled, fingers brushing the flash drive hidden in her purse. "It's done," she said, voice soft yet triumphant. Outside, the world buzzed with headlines. "Velvet Judgment. Maya Langford's Courtroom Triumph." The hashtag Truth in Velvet trended within minutes. The SUV pulled away from the courthouse steps, disappearing into the grid of city streets. In her rearview mirror, Maya watched the crowd shrink into dots of movement, testament to the power of a single truth, revealed in style and conviction. By evening, the digital world had ignited. Hashtag Truth in Velvet, hashtag Velvet Judgment, hashtag Black Velvet Queen, all trended atop every platform. Maya Langford's courtroom remarks and her climactic exit flooded timelines. Clips looped in slow motion, set to stirring soundtracks, her finger raised in defiance, her measured stride down the marble steps, Dante's unwavering silhouette behind her. Analytics dashboards exploded with engagement metrics. Within 4 hours, her profile gained 250,000 new followers. Commenters praised her poise. "She's a legend." Maya for CEO. Queen of courtroom bants. Memes contrasted Maya's black velvet gown against Bianca's now infamous ivory silk. In Cole's private boardroom, panic reigned. A livestock ticker on a giant monitor displayed Carter Corp's shares tumbling, down 17% in pre-market trading. His CFO slammed a fist on the table. "We underestimated her. The market hates uncertainty." Cole pinched the bridge of his nose. He glanced at Bianca's tear-streaked face on a secondary screen, capturing her anguished apology video, posted hastily and deleted within minutes. It read, "I'm sorry you had to see that side of me." A hollow echo against Maya's unwavering authenticity. Meanwhile, news outlets raced to secure interviews with Maya. A morning network offered her a guest segment. A business magazine requested a cover story. Sponsors begged for her endorsement. Yet Maya's messages to each read, No deals until the board meeting is resolved. In her penthouse study, Maya reviewed analytics on her tablet. She sipped chamomile tea, savoring the moment. Dante stood guard near the windows, observing the city lights. Elias Graves lounged on a velvet chaise, flipping through legal filings for her upcoming motion. Her phone buzzed with another alert. Coal Corp press release, CEO statement coming. Maya tapped the notification. Cole's measured apology, devoid of genuine remorse, rolled out to news wires. He pledged cooperation and respect for due process. But the public had already chosen sides. Maya set the tablet aside and rose, smoothing her gown. "It's time," she said, eyes alight with purpose. Dante inclined his head. Elias closed the legal binder. She strode to her executive desk, a sleek obsidian slab, and opened the top drawer. A file labeled Shareholdings, Confidential lay within. Maya extracted printed certificates, showing her ownership of 32% of Carter Corp stock, transferred quietly months ago via early investors who had trusted her integrity. She stood by the window, cityscape glittering below. "Morning comes soon," she whispered, "and with it we redraw the map." Her assistant's text appeared at the bottom of the screen. "Board meeting scheduled for 9 a.m. tomorrow. We'll send invites." Maya smiled, nodding to Dante. The conference room's long mahogany table gleamed under recessed lighting. 20 seats lined each side. Only half were occupied. A large digital display at the head showed the Carter Corp logo, now shadowed by Maya's velvet silhouette as the background image. Shareholders, executives, and legal counsel murmured as they waited. Many shifted uncomfortably in their seats, casting furtive glances at the door. Rumors had circulated overnight. Maya Langford's surprise ownership stake had rewritten the rulebook. At precisely 9 a.m., the door opened. Maya entered, flanked by Dante and Elias. She wore a tailored black velvet blazer over slacks, a modern twist on her signature gown. Heads turned, jaws dropped. Cameras discreetly hidden behind the wood paneling started rolling. She approached the head of the table and placed a slim portfolio in front of the chairman. Dante closed the door behind her, sealing the room in hush. Maya removed her gloves and laid both palms flat on the table. "Good morning," she said, voice calm but charged. "I trust you all saw the press release." A nervous ripple passed through the room. Maya continued, "I now own 32% of this company, thanks to shares bestowed by investors who believed in my vision." She tapped the digital display, which flicked to a slide of her share certificates and transfer records. The CFO stammered, "Ms. Langford, is this?" Maya held up her hand. "Yes, it's real." She paused, letting the weight of her words settle. "Your boardroom, our boardroom, will reflect this reality." She reached into her portfolio and removed a proposal. A new board composition, leadership roles redefined with her at the helm of the audit and ethics committees. A murmur rippled through the attendees. Maya scanned the room, meeting each executive's gaze. "Effective immediately, I call for a vote of no confidence in the current CEO and board chair." The atmosphere crackled like tension before a storm. Cole sat at the far end, flanked by counsel. His face was drained, hair tousled from a sleepless night. He swallowed hard, struggling for words. Maya's eyes met his for a heartbeat. No triumph, only resolve. Dante straightened behind her. Elias distributed printed ballots to each participant. Maya folded her arms, posture unwavering. "This company has thrived under integrity, transparency, and respect," she said. "From today forward, it will thrive because of those values, and I intend to lead with them." Silence reigned. Then a timid hand rose, one of the independent directors. Others followed. Within moments, the vote tallied in her favor by a substantial margin. Cameras flashed discreetly as the display updated. 85% yes. Maya nodded once, satisfied. "Thank you." She turned and placed the portfolio back in her bag. As she faced the room one last time, her lips curved a quiet smile. The boardroom fell into stunned applause, heralding the beginning of Maya Langford's true reign, and the end of Cole Carter's legacy. Bianca collapsed onto the velvet chaise in her penthouse suite, tears streaming down her cheeks and smudging the layers of mascara she had applied only hours before. Around her, the grandeur of her home, the marble floors, the abstract sculptures, the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, felt like a gilded cage closing in. She gasped for breath, shoulders shaking as guilt and fear coiled tight in her chest. How could she do this? Bianca whispered to the empty room. Her phone lay abandoned on the glass coffee table, its screen still lit with news alerts. Bianca Draco exposed in court audio leak. Carter Corp scandal. Insider recording rocks board. Velvet Queen's revenge. The headlines cut deeper than any blade. She pressed trembling fingertips to her temples, closing her eyes. Memories of her conspiracy flooded back. The bribes to regulators, the threats whispered in clandestine meetings, the careful manipulation of Cole's corporate empire. All of it for what? Power? Status? Validation? Now it was crumbling. A soft knock at the door startled her. Bianca flinched, wiping her face. What? She rasped. The door opened to reveal her publicist, Hannah, clutching a folder. They're calling for comment, Hannah said softly, eyes downcast. Every network, they want your statement. Bianca's breath hitched. Statement? She repeated, voice cracking. What do I say? That I betrayed the man I love? That I tried to ruin his life? She buried her face in her hands. Hannah placed the folder on the table. You need to control the narrative, she urged. Spin it, apologize, claim extenuating circumstances. Press releases can't fix everything, but they can slow the bleeding. Bianca raised her head, her jaw trembling. Slow the bleeding, she echoed. Am I a patient on a slab? She laughed bitterly. There's no salvage. Hannah sank onto a nearby chair. We have your personal assistant's phone logs. She's offering damage control strategies. But it's too late for spin. Bianca's tears subsided, replaced by a hollow rage. Too late, she hissed. When I cornered her, she showed everyone how weak I'd made myself. She glared at the photo frames lining a nearby console, images of her and Cole on red carpets, smiling for cameras. Those fake smiles now felt grotesque. She stood abruptly, pacing the room. I built this life, Bianca muttered. Every connection, every favor, it all depended on controlling him. She gripped the chaise's armrest until her knuckles whitened, and she just walked in and dismantled it. Hannah rose, tentative. Bianca, listen. No, Bianca spat, voice echoing off the high ceilings. I don't want your excuses or your notes. I want her stopped. Her chest heaved. Find me a way to discredit that recording. Anything. Hannah's face paled. But the tape is already public record. Bianca's eyes blazed. Then leaked something worse. A scandal buried deep. Someone she trusts, exposed them. She clenched her fists. I will not go down without a fight. Hannah hesitated, torn between loyalty and reality. Bianca, you could end up in court for suborning perjury. Bianca laughed again, a hollow, shattering sound. That's a risk I'll take. She sank onto the chaise, burying her face in her hands once more. As Hannah watched her, the assistant's phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen, then back at Bianca. They're outside, the paparazzi are here. Bianca's head snapped up. Through the windows, flashes staccatoed against the night sky like distant gunfire. She pressed her palms to her eyes, the world spinning. Cole Carter trudged through the stark corridors of Maya's gallery, the echo of his footsteps swallowed by silence. He had arrived unannounced, heart pounding with a mix of desperation and dread. The dimly lit space smelled of fresh paint and turpentine, punctuated by the faint scent of jasmine from the courtyard beyond. He paused before the glass doors etched with her signature crest. Inside, Maya stood amidst her exhibits, sleek sculptures and canvases arranged like a sacred collection. She wore a charcoal gray suit, sleek, modern, an echo of her courtroom authority. Dante stood discreetly at her side, expression unreadable. Cole inhaled sharply, gathering courage. Maya, he called softly. His voice reverberated off the high ceilings. She turned, gaze cool and measured. Cole, she replied, her tone polite but distant. I wasn't expecting you. He took a hesitant step forward. I know. He exhaled, his breath fogging the glass doors momentarily. "But I need to speak with you." Maya folded her arms. "You're not scheduled for a walkthrough." Cole's chest tightened. He swallowed the lump in his throat. "I'm not here to negotiate the merger. I'm here for us." His voice cracked on the last word. Maya's eyebrows rose. "Us?" He nodded, stepping deeper into the gallery. "I've lost everything, my position, my reputation, my pride. But none of it matters if I can't at least face the truth." He paused before a large abstract painting, swirls of crimson and gold. "This your work?" She nodded. "Affair in red." She crossed her arms, studying him. "You already know its meaning." Cole glanced at the painting. Bianca's tearful portrait in red. He remembered the moment Maya had revealed it in her courtroom gallery tour. He swallowed. "I do." He turned back to her. "I'm sorry. For everything." His voice trembled. "I betrayed your trust. I believed I could control circumstances by controlling you. I was wrong. And I see now what you sacrificed: dignity, peace, your very name." Maya watched him, eyes narrowing slightly as he bared his remorse. "That doesn't undo what happened," she said quietly. "I know." He took another step toward her. "But I want to make amends. Not as a husband, not as a CEO. I know that's impossible, but as a man who hurt someone remarkable." He spread his hands. "Tell me what I can do." Maya turned away, gaze drifting to a sculpture of interlocking metal rings. "Redemption isn't offered by those you wronged," she said softly. "It's earned." Cole's shoulders sagged. "Name one thing I can do." "I'll do it." She considered him, silence stretching thick as velvet. Dante shifted behind her, but remained silent. Finally, Maya spoke. "There's a community trust fund we support, the one Judge Delaney helped establish," she said. "Bianca threatened its funding after our divorce filing. Restore those donations, publicly. Then renounce any claim on Carter Corp's charitable branches." "Step back." Cole nodded, relief and shame mingling in his expression. "I will." Maya turned to face him fully, eyes softening just a fraction. "Actions speak louder than apologies," she said, "and the world will be watching." The gallery's back room was hushed, lit only by track lighting focused on a single canvas. Maya stood before it, wearing a tailor black blazer over her velvet gown. Dante remained near the doorway, silent sentinel. Cole entered quietly, heart hammering. "This is where you paint in secret," Maya said, gesturing to the canvas. "Not every piece is for public view." Cole stepped closer. The painting depicted Bianca in red, tears glistening on porcelain cheeks, hands raised defensively. The realism was haunting. Maya's brush strokes captured every nuance of Bianca's panic. The title, "Affair in Red," scrawled in ebony at the bottom. He swallowed, voice hushed. "When did you paint this?" Maya's lips curved in a small, sad smile. 2 months ago, the night I found the first set of transcripts. I felt betrayed, so I painted betrayal." She tapped at the canvas. "Art processes emotion better than words." Cole traced a fingertip over the painted tears. "It's beautiful and brutal." Maya regarded him. "Can art heal?" He looked at her, then at the painting. "Art holds truth," he said, "and truth can be a bomb." Maya turned away, moving to a low wooden bench. She patted the seat. "Sit." Cole did. She retrieved a small sketchbook from a nearby pedestal. "I started sketching here," she said softly, flipping pages. Portraits of Maya herself, eyes fierce, expression defiant. Portraits of Dante, steadfast, watchful. Cole studied the sketches. "You're gifted." Maya shrugged. "I had to find a way to channel pain." She closed the book. "Now, I'm ready to share this room with you." Cole's throat tightened. I want to help." She looked at him, measuring. "Help me organize a charity auction. Proceeds go to the community trust. You said you'd do it." He nodded fervently. "I will. Tonight." Maya rose, gesturing toward a side door. "Then let's start." She opened the door, revealing a storage room packed with framed paintings and sculptures. "Pick pieces you think will draw interest. I'll handle the presentation." Cole stepped inside, heart swelling. As he selected artworks, vibrant abstracts, intimate portraits, He realized this collaboration was more than charity. It was a bridge to something neither of them had expected: mutual respect. Behind him, Maya's voice rang out quietly. "Remember, authenticity sells best." The gala hall buzzed with anticipation, patrons in evening attire milling beside Maya's paintings, champagne flutes tinkling. Cole moved through the crowd, nerves fluttering. He delivered silent nods of greeting and discreetly handed invitation cards to prospective bidders. On the dais, Maya stood beside Judge Delaney, who had agreed to speak. The judge wore emerald satin, her silver hair gleaming. She cleared her throat and raised a glass. The chatter hushed instantly. Maya's heart fluttered as she met the judge's eyes, an unspoken acknowledgement of their shared past. The judge smiled. "Thank you all for supporting this cause," she began, her voice resonant. "Maya Langford's vision and Cole Carter's generosity have reignited hope for our community trust." Applause rippled through the room. Paintings glowed under soft spotlights. Cole glanced at Maya. Her smile was radiant. He returned it, pride and gratitude coursing through him. Judge Delaney continued, "But there is another reason we gather tonight. Years ago, when I served as a legal guardian for the trust's formation, I met someone whose courage changed my life." She paused, eyes on Maya. Maya Langford was a volunteer then, fierce and compassionate. Maya inhaled sharply. Cole stiffened. Guests leaned forward. The judge reached into her clutch and withdrew a yellowed envelope. She held it aloft, Maya's early sketches, letters of recommendation, and one particular document, a child custody plea Maya had drafted pro bono for a single mother battling corruption in the system. Because of her advocacy, the judge said softly, that mother won custody and a child's life was saved. Emotion shimmered in her voice. Tonight, we honor not only Maya's art, but her lifelong commitment to justice. Tears glistened in Maya's eyes. She pressed a hand to her chest. The crowd erupted in heartfelt applause, some standing. Cole felt his throat tighten. He caught Maya's gaze, tears mirrored in her eyes. When the ovation subsided, the judge leaned closer to Maya and whispered, "You have always had power, power with purpose." Maya nodded, unable to speak through her tears of gratitude. The gala's warm glow fractured as Bianca stormed into the hall, her ivory gown torn at the hem, red lipstick smeared across her cheek. Gasps erupted from the crowd. Cole and Maya froze, eyes locked on the intruder. "Don't applaud her," Bianca screamed, voice cracking. "She used you all." Tears streamed down her face. She manipulated the judge, rigged the auction. Everything is a lie. Attendees recoiled, champagne glasses trembling in their hands. The judge stepped forward, hand raised for silence. "Miss Draco," she said calmly, "this event benefits children in need. Your grievances are with Ms. Langford, not these families." Bianca's breathing was ragged. She turned toward Maya, rage and desperation battling in her eyes. "She stole my life." Maya approached slowly, Dante flanking her. "Bianca, this isn't about you." Her tone was gentle but firm. "I sought justice, not revenge." Bianca shook her head, voice dropping to a strangled whisper. "You think you're so pure? You painted my tears, paraded them for profit." She spun on her heel. "I won't let you fake this redemption." Her heels clicked as she made for the exit, weaving through startled guests. Security agents moved to intercept, but Bianca turned toward them. "Don't touch me," she wailed, flinging a hand at them. Cole pushed through the crowd, calling her name. "Bianca, wait." But she ignored him, vaulting over a velvet rope and sprinting down the side corridor. Sirens wailed faintly outside. The gala's alarm had been triggered when Bianca knocked over a candelabrum. Maya watched her go, sorrow and relief warring in her expression. The crowd murmured, cameras flashing once more. Cole exhaled, stepping beside Maya. "I'm sorry," he said, voice low. Maya nodded. She was desperate. She turned back to the guests. "Please, let's continue." Amid the clinking of champagne and renewed applause, Bianca disappeared into the night, her legacy in tatters and her future uncertain. Cole Carter stood motionless at the entrance of the boardroom, the door sliding closed behind him with an ominous finality. Just hours ago, He had entered as the celebrated CEO of Carter Corp. Now he faced a room of steely shareholders whose gleaming expressions mirrored his downfall. The digital display above the head of the table read, "Leadership vote results. 92% in favor of removal." His chest tightened as he felt the weight of every disapproving gaze. He stepped forward, voice cracking. I understand your decision." The chairman, a veteran investor with silver hair and a hawkish gaze, nodded curtly. "Mr. Carter, effective immediately. You are relieved of all executive duties. Security will escort you from the premises." Surprise rippled through him. He managed a trembling nod, palms pressed against the polished mahogany table that had once felt like home. Now it felt like the altar of his humiliation. He closed his eyes, the distant roar of global media crews crashing in his mind like waves against a cliff. He had lost control of everything: his title, his wealth, his reputation. Dante, stationed by the door, caught his eye. The guard's expression was solemn, unwavering, a silent acknowledgement of Cole's crisis of identity. He swallowed hard, summoning the composure that had defined him. A low murmur spread among the attendees as Cole turned and walked away, each step echoing down the boardroom corridor. Outside, the world waited, microphones thrust forward as he emerged. "Mr. Carter, any comment on your removal? How do you feel about Maya Langford's new leadership?" Each shouted question stabbed at him. He raised a hand, but no words came. His trademark eloquence had deserted him. A camera angle caught his ashen face and projected it to millions of viewers worldwide. Back in his private office, Cole watched the live broadcast on his desk monitor. Comments scrolled, karma in black velvet. "Good riddance to the corporate tyrant. Maya is a queen." He pressed his forehead to the cool glass, breath fogging the screen. His assets were frozen, credit lines severed, prestigious contracts nullified. His empire lay in ruin. His phone buzzed, CFO's name flashing on the screen. He answered. "Sir, the bank has frozen your personal accounts," the CFO reported. Cole closed his eyes. "Everything I built undone," he whispered. "There's hope if you cooperate with Maya's team. We can negotiate a release," the CFO added. Cole exhaled, realizing this might be his only path forward. Memories of his father echoed. "Wealth is nothing if it corrupts your soul." He sat straighter and reached for his phone, drafting a terse message to Alara. "Transfer funds to Community Trust. Arrange meeting at the old office tonight." He hit send and stood. A new text from Dante read, "I'm in the garage." Cole nodded. For the first time, moving forward required humility and genuine redemption. He realized his path to restoration lay not in power or prestige, but in the integrity he had long abandoned. Maya Langford sat at the head of the new Carter Corp boardroom, her tailored black velvet blazer a silent proclamation of authority. Cameras discreetly captured the scene for promotional materials as guests filtered in for the evening's Investors Gala. Reporters called her Queen of Revenge, and prominent networks had extended lucrative offers for interviews, specials, even a primetime hosting slot. Each offer landed in her inbox with a tempting ding. Yet Maya refused them all. She reviewed the latest email, a multimillion-dollar proposal from a leading media conglomerate. It opened with lavish praise. "Your story has captivated the world." Her finger hovered over the accept button, then withdrew. She deleted the draft reply. Fame wasn't her goal, and she would not be someone's villain for ratings. Dante stood by her side, vigilant as ever. "Another offer, Ms. Langford," her assistant murmured, sliding a folder across the polished table. The assistant's eyes flicked anxiously between Maya and the door. "Luxury brand endorsements, exclusive speaking tours." Her voice trailed as Maya opened the folder and skimmed the pages. Maya laid the documents flat. "Thank them for their interest," she instructed, voice steady. "But declines only. I'm not your villain. I'm just a woman who stopped waiting." The assistant nodded, relief mixing with admiration. Guests began arriving, their evening attire glittering under the chandelier glow. Maya rose to greet them, offering warm, genuine smiles. Investors approached with congratulations and handshake offers. She spoke of transparency initiatives, expanded community programs, and a commitment to ethical governance. Her refusal of a media crown only enhanced her mystique. People respected conviction over celebrity. A journalist cornered her beside an abstract sculpture. "Don't you ever want the spotlight?" he pressed. Maya tilted her head, considering. "My spotlight shines on those we serve," she replied. "I'd rather build lasting impact than chase fleeting fame." Throughout the night, cameras captured her generosity, auctioning her paintings for record sums, raising funds for the community trust. Cole watched from a discreet vantage, pride warming his chest. Bianca's name had vanished from headlines. Maya's authenticity reigned instead. By midnight, the gala concluded with a standing ovation. No network deal had been signed, no crown accepted. Maya exited arm in arm with Judge Delaney, leaving behind whispers of true queen, visionary leader, and authentic champion. She had refused the crown, and in doing so, claimed a higher throne. The midnight flight from New York to Rome hummed beneath Maya Langford's feet as she reclined in her business-class seat. The cabin lights were dimmed. Passengers slept or dozed, cocooned in soft blankets. Dante sat across the aisle, gaze fixed on Maya, silent until his hand rose to tap her shoulder. "What made you walk away so quietly back then?" he asked, voice low amid the jet's drone. His question pulled Maya from her thoughts. She looked at him, eyes soft in the gentle cabin glow. "I was painting the whole time," she replied, recalling the rooftop birthday dinner, the unlit cake, the stolen celebration. "Art gave me perspective and patience." Dante nodded, intrigued. "You could have raged, exposed them sooner. Instead, you built your case in secret." Maya smiled faintly. "Quiet movements carry weight. While they boasted, I observed. While they schemed, I recorded. By the time they realized I existed, I held every piece of the puzzle." He studied her, her serene posture, the way her eyes reflected calm determination. And the court, the gallery, all planned? Dante's question sounded odd. "All of it," Maya admitted. "Each step choreographed to reveal truth rather than provoke spectacle." She drew a sketchbook from her bag, not the public one, but a small leather-bound journal. She flipped to a page, a charcoal study of Dante's silhouette. "This was the first painting I made after that night. It reminds me of loyalty that never wavers, even when the world turns." Dante's lips curved into a rare, genuine smile. "You painted me first because I never left your side," he said quietly. The unspoken bond between them resonated more than any words. Maya closed the journal and tucked it away. "Healing isn't loud. It's deliberate." She placed a hand over his in thanks. "Your salute that day, it sparked everything." He bowed his head in acknowledgement. "It was my honor to protect you." Maya leaned back, eyes drifting to the window as they soared above clouds. "Now we fly toward new horizons," she mused. "We carry our truth, painted, lived, and shared." Dante watched her, respect radiating from his stance. In the hush of the night sky, their shared secret formed the blueprint for every future step, quiet, deliberate, and powerful beyond measure. The early morning sun gilded the rooftops of Rome in rose gold as Maya Langford stepped onto the balcony of a centuries-old palazzo. Clad in a new black velvet gown with a high collar and sweeping train, she surveyed the terracotta panorama with quiet triumph. Dante stood a respectful distance behind her, and Elias Graves observed from the threshold, tea steaming gently in his hand. Maya set up her easel facing the horizon, her final canvas of this journey. She mixed pigments on a wooden palette, burnt sienna, cadmium yellow, deep umber. Each stroke captured the ancient city's warmth, the history etched in every rooftop tile. Her brush moved with grace born of purpose, from the softly glowing domes of St. Peter's Basilica to the winding Tiber River below. A soft breeze carried distant church bells. Maya inhaled, closing her eyes for a moment as the memory of every courtroom battle, every gallery triumph, and every moment of silent resolve washed over her. The velvet gown whispered around her ankles, an embrace of strength born from adversity. Dante stepped forward and laid a single white rose at her feet. "For your collection," he murmured, gaze respectful. Maya nodded, stirring white into the ochre mix on her palette before adding the rose to her composition. a symbol of new beginnings. Elias approached, clearing his throat softly. "The press will be here soon," he said. "Your story in Rome will go global." Maya dipped her brush into pale pink and painted the first petals of the rose. "Let them watch," she replied. "I paint my truth for those who seek it, not for those who demand spectacle." She paused, then signed a corner of the canvas. M. Langford, Roma 2025. Behind her, the city woke. The distant clatter of cafe cups, the murmur of market vendors, the rumble of Vespas. Maya set her brush down and rested her hands on the easel's frame, surveying her work. The painting shimmered with dawn's glow, a testament to a journey that began with silent observation and ended in legendary resilience. She turned to Dante and Elias, a serene smile lighting her face. "Healing isn't loud," she said softly, echoing Judge Delaney's words, "but it is legendary." As the first photographers arrived to capture the woman in black velvet, Maya lifted her chin. Her silhouette framed against Rome's timeless skyline became the final image of her saga. A woman who chose truth over dominion, art over anger, and quiet conviction over empty crowns. I hope you enjoyed this story. Please like, comment, and share. Also turn on the bell to get more of our videos. See you in the next story.